Your ex got dumped, he said, still laughing. Calvin dumped her. I sat down on my couch trying to process this information. What do you mean dumped her? I asked. I mean he used her for about 6 weeks and then told her he didn't really love her anymore. Said he just wanted to make sure about his feelings or some shit like that. The irony was incredible. After all that talk about their epic love story and how passionate their connection was, Calvin had basically used her for a hookup and tossed her aside again just like he did in college. According to Joey's source, Calvin had been pretty upfront about it, telling Erica that being with her again made him realize they had both changed too much since college, that what they had was probably just nostalgia, and that he didn't see a future with her. Basically, everything she should have figured out before blowing up her engagement. Like this, Joey continued. Apparently, she's been calling him non-stop trying to get him to change his mind. Dude had to block her number. I felt a weird mix of emotions hearing this. Part of me felt vindicated I had been right about Calvin being a piece of shit who would hurt her again. Part of me wanted to laugh at the irony of her getting a taste of her own medicine, but mostly I felt relieved that I had dodged this bullet. The next few days, I heard more details for the grapevine. Apparently, Erica had been posting on social media about learning to love yourself and knowing your worth, right up until Calvin dumped her. Then suddenly all her posts disappeared and she went quiet online. She had also been telling people at work that she was exploring what real love feels like and how she had never been happier. Her teacher friends had been supportive at first, but when the truth came out about Calvin using her, some of them apparently felt pretty uncomfortable about how she had handled the whole situation. I heard from my sister Sasha that Erica's mom had called my mom crying about how her daughter was going through a difficult time and asking if there was any chance I would consider talking to Erica. My mom politely but firmly told her no, that Erica had made her choice and needed to live with the consequences. About a week after Joey's call, I was at the grocery store when I ran into one of our mutual friends, Lisa. She had been at our engagement party and was supposed to be a bridesmaid. It was awkward as hell to see her, but she was actually cool about it. I just want you to know, she said. Most of us think you handled everything really well. What Erica did was messed up, and you had every right to walk away. That felt good to hear. Sometimes when you're in the middle of drama, you start questioning whether you overreacted or made the wrong choice. Hearing from someone who knew both of us that I had done the right thing was reassuring. Lisa also confirmed what I had been hearing about Calvin. She really thought he was going to leave his whole life behind to be with her. She was talking like they were moving in together and everything. It was delusional. Apparently, Calvin lived about 3 hours away and had his own life, job, and probably other women he was seeing. The idea that he was going to uproot everything for a woman he had already dumped once was pretty ridiculous when you thought about it. But that's what happens when you build a fantasy in your head based on nostalgia and emotional cheating. You convince yourself that your ex was this perfect person who got away when in reality they're just another flawed human being who already showed you once that they don't want to be with you. A few days later, Erica started trying to contact me. She called from different numbers since I had blocked her original one. I didn't answer any of them. Then she showed up at the fire station where Joey works part-time, asking him to give me a message about how sorry she was and how she had made a huge mistake. Joey told her to kick rocks and told me later that she looked like hell, like she hadn't been sleeping or eating right. Part of me felt bad about that, but a bigger part of me thought she had earned every bit of misery she was feeling. When showing up at my friend's work didn't get my attention, she decided to try a different approach. She wrote this massive Facebook post about our relationship and breakup. I didn't see it directly because I had her blocked, but Sasha screenshot it and sent it to me. The post was insane, complete revisionist history about what happened between us. According to her version, I never really loved her and couldn't accept that she had a romantic history. She said I abandoned her when she needed support the most and mature to handle adult relationship problems. Not a single word about Calvin. Not a single mention of her telling me I was boring and convenient compared to her ex. Just a bunch of nonsense about how I was the problem and she was the victim. The comments were pretty brutal though. A bunch of our mutual friends called her out for rewriting history. Someone posted, "Didn't you leave him for your ex?" Another person said, "This isn't how I remember it happening." Then some people I didn't know were commenting about how her story didn't add up. She deleted the post after a few hours, but the damage was done. Everyone could see she was trying to make herself look better by throwing me under the bus, and most people weren't buying it. That's when I knew she was really desperate. When someone starts making up stories on social media to make their ex look bad, they've hit rock bottom. I was glad as hell that I wasn't part of that mess anymore. My 30th birthday rolled around about 3 months after everything went down. Normally, I'm not big on birthday celebrations, it just feels like another day to me. But my family has always made a huge deal about birthdays, especially milestone ones, and they weren't about to let me skip it just because I had recently become single again. I had been seeing more of Veronica over the past month. When I mentioned my birthday party, she seemed excited to meet my family, which was a good sign. The day of the party, I woke up actually feeling pretty good. 30 years old, I own my own house, had a solid job, good friends, and was seeing someone who didn't think I was boring or convenient. Not a bad place to be, all things considered. Hell of a lot better than where I had thought I would be a few months earlier when I was stressed about wedding planning and dealing with Erica's weird moods. Veronica showed up around 300 with this amazing chocolate cake she had made herself. She remembered me mentioning once that I hated the artificial taste of most store-bought frosting, so she had made the whole thing herself. Little gestures like that meant more to me than she probably realized. My mom loved her immediately. They spent like 20 minutes talking about the cake recipe and cooking in general. My dad was grilling burgers and invited Veronica to try his secret sauce, which he never shares with anyone. Sasha pulled me aside and whispered that she approved, which was huge because Sasha has never liked any of my girlfriends. The contrast with how Erica used to act at family events was pretty stark. Erica always seemed like she was doing me a favor by showing up, like spending time with my family was some kind of chore she had to endure. She would be polite but distant, checking her phone constantly, complaining later about how long the events went or how my dad told the same stories over and over. Veronica actually seemed to be having fun. She was asking my mom about embarrassing childhood stories, laughing at my dad's terrible jokes, playing cornhole with Tom, and holding her own. She fit right in like she had been coming to family gatherings for years. Around 600 in the evening, we were all sitting around the fire pit my dad had built last summer. Good food, good company, a couple of the guys telling stories about stupid calls we had been on at work. I was thinking this might be one of the better birthdays I had had in years. Definitely better than last year when Erica spent the whole time on her phone and barely acknowledged it was my birthday. That's when someone knocked on the front door. At first, I figured it was maybe a neighbor complaining about the noise or asking us to move cars or something. We had been pretty loud and it was a Saturday evening, but when I opened the door, there was Erica standing on my porch with a wrapped present and this big fake smile like nothing had ever happened between us. "Happy birthday, Chandler," she said. I just stared at her. She looked different, thinner, like she hadn't been eating right, dark circles under her eyes like she wasn't sleeping well. Her hair was different, to shorter, like she had cut it herself or gone to some cheap salon. She was trying to look happy and confident, but I could see the desperation underneath. "What are you doing here, Erica?" I asked. "I brought you a gift. Can I come in for a minute?" The conversation behind me in the backyard had gotten quieter. People probably wondering who was at the door, if everything was okay. The last thing I wanted was to bring this drama into my birthday party with my family and Veronica there. "You can't just show up here uninvited," I said. "I know, but it's your birthday and I felt bad that we're not talking. I just wanted to give you this and maybe we could talk for a few minutes." She held out the present like it was some kind of peace offering, probably something she had bought months ago when we were still together, before she decided Calvin was better than me. The whole situation was surreal, my ex-fiancee showing up at my birthday party after telling me I was boring and convenient, after getting dumped by the guy she left me for. "About what?" I asked. "About us. About how stupid I was. About how much I miss what we had." I actually laughed, which seemed to surprise her. "You miss what we had? You mean the boring, convenient relationship, the kiddie pool?" Her face turned red. She had probably hoped I had forgotten about that comment or that time would have softened the impact of those words. But you don't forget when someone you love tells you that you're their backup plan. She tried to backtrack, saying she was upset when she said that she didn't mean it. But we both knew she did mean it. People don't say things that specific and hurtful unless they've been thinking them for a while. That's when the front door opened behind me, and Veronica stepped out. "Everything okay out here?" The look on Erica's face was priceless. She went from hopeful to shocked to angry in about 2 seconds. You could see the gears turning in her head. I was supposed to be sitting at home miserable and alone, waiting for her to come back. I wasn't supposed to have moved on, especially not with someone who was clearly attractive and put together. "Who is this?" Erica's voice got loud and shrill. Veronica introduced herself calmly, saying she must be Erica, professional as hell. She didn't take the bait or get drawn into drama, just acknowledged the situation and stayed composed. "You're already dating someone else?" Erica was getting louder now. "It's only been 2 months. Actually, it's been almost 3 months since you chose Calvin over me," I corrected her. "And yeah, I'm dating someone who actually wants to be with me." That's when Erica completely lost it. She started screaming about how I never fought for our relationship and how I replaced her like she meant nothing. Classic projection. She was the one who had thrown away our relationship for her ex, but somehow I was the bad guy for moving on with my life. Veronica just stood there looking uncomfortable, but not backing down. She didn't try to defend herself or get into an argument with my ex, just stayed calm and let Erica make an ass of herself on my front lawn. A yelling drew attention from the backyard. My dad came around the side of the house to see what was going on. He took one look at the situation and told Erica she needed to leave. But she refused and kept screaming. Sasha came out too and told her to get off our property before they called the cops. My family had never really liked Erica, but they had been polite for my sake. Now that we weren't together anymore, they didn't have to pretend. Sasha, in particular, had zero patience for this and wasn't shy about saying so. Erica wasn't done though. She was in full meltdown mode now, probably realizing that her grand gesture wasn't going according to plan. She had probably imagined showing up with a present and me being so grateful that she wanted me back that I would forget everything that happened. Instead, she was having a screaming match with my family while my new girlfriend watched from the sidelines. Not exactly the reunion she had been hoping for. Finally, she stormed off toward her car, but before getting in, she turned around one more time. "This is ridiculous, Chandler. Don't you think it would just be easier if we got back together? We have 3 years of history." I looked at her standing there, mascara running down her face, holding a birthday present for a relationship she had destroyed. 3 months ago, this woman had been my fiancée. Now, she was a stranger having a breakdown on my lawn because I had had the audacity to move on with my life. "Easier for who?" I called back. "Because it seems pretty easy for me right now." She got in her car and drove off, spinning her tires like a teenager having a tantrum. I went back inside to my party where Veronica squeezed my hand and didn't ask any questions. My family was pissed but got over it quickly. The rest of the night was actually really fun, like Erica's visit had been some weird intermission that we all agreed to ignore. I never opened her present, just threw it in the trash the next morning without even looking at what was inside. Whatever it was, I didn't want to need it. That chapter of my life was closed, and no amount of birthday gifts or dramatic gestures was going to reopen it. About a month after the birthday incident, I heard through the grapevine that Erica had moved back in with her parents. Apparently she couldn't afford her own place on a teacher's salary without someone splitting bills with her. The irony wasn't lost on me. She had thrown away a relationship with someone who owned his own house and had a stable career for a guy who used her for 6 weeks and dumped her. I also heard she had taken a leave of absence from teaching. Whether that was voluntary or the school suggested it after her behavior became too erratic, I don't know. But it couldn't have been easy explaining to her co-workers why she was suddenly single and living with her parents again after being engaged just a few months earlier. Joey kept me updated on the gossip, probably more than I needed to know. Apparently, Erica had been trying to get back in touch with other guys from her past, not just Calvin, like she was working through a list of exes trying to find someone to take her back. Pretty sad when you think about it, but that's what happens when you burn bridges for no good reason. The funniest part was hearing about how Calvin reacted when he found out about her birthday party visit. Apparently, someone had told him about her showing up at my house, and he was pissed. He called her crazy and told mutual friends that he was glad he had gotten out when he did. The guy who had convinced her to leave me was now talking shit about her to anyone who would listen. That's the thing about guys like Calvin, they're great at talking women into bad decisions, but they disappear the moment things get complicated. He had filled her head with nonsense about their epic love story and how they were meant to be together, then bailed the second he got what he wanted. And now he was acting like she was the problem. Honestly, I stopped caring about the Erica drama pretty quickly. I had better things to focus on, like building something real with Veronica and advancing my career. The whole situation had taught me what I actually wanted in a relationship, someone who chose me first, not someone who needed to be convinced that I was worth their time. Around the 6-month mark after our breakup, Veronica and I decided to move in together. She had been practically living at my place anyway, and it made financial sense for both of us. More importantly, it felt right. I wasn't nervous about the commitment or worried about her changing her mind. When you're with the right person, these decisions feel natural instead of forced. 2 months later, I ran into one of Erica's teacher friends at the grocery store, Lisa, the same one who told me I had handled everything well. She mentioned that Erica was back to teaching, but at a different school across town. Apparently, she had needed a fresh start away from people who knew about the whole Calvin situation. Lisa also mentioned that Erica had been asking about me, wanting to know if I was still with that nurse and whether I seemed happy. The fact that she was still keeping tabs on my life through mutual acquaintances told me she probably wasn't doing as well as she wanted people to think. But that wasn't my problem anymore. I had moved on completely, built a new life with someone who actually wanted to be with me, and I wasn't interested in whatever ongoing drama Erica was dealing with. Some people learn from their mistakes and grow as human beings. Others keep making the same bad choices and wondering why their lives don't improve. The wedding dress she bought was probably still hanging in her parents' closet somewhere, an expensive reminder of the life she had thrown away for a fantasy. Meanwhile, I was building something real with someone who thought I was worth fighting for instead of someone who saw me as a backup plan. A year after our breakup, Veronica and I got engaged. It was nothing huge or dramatic, just a quiet proposal during a weekend trip we had planned together. Erica finally broke her silence. She sent me a long text from a number I didn't recognize, probably borrowed from someone else since I still had her blocked. The message was a novel full of apologies, excuses, and begging for one more chance to explain. She said she had been going through therapy and realized she had made the biggest mistake of her life, that Calvin had been a fantasy and I was the real thing. That she had spent the past year thinking about me every day and regretting everything that happened. She claimed she was ready to fight for us now and wanted to meet up to talk about getting back together. I didn't respond to the text. I didn't even acknowledge that I had received it. Erica had said everything she needed to say a year ago when she told me Calvin was better for her. Nothing had changed except that her backup plan had fallen through and she was realizing that good guys don't wait around forever. Erica taught me what I don't want in a relationship. Veronica showed me what I do want, and that's with everything.